Have you ever heard of an elderly person who seemed perfectly fine, chatting, laughing, living their usual routine, and then suddenly they were gone? It shocks everyone around them. Friends say, "But he was just here yesterday." Family members can't understand how someone who seemed okay could just disappear like that. The truth is, sudden deaths among elderly people rarely come without warning. The signs are there, but they're often so subtle, so ordinary, that we ignore them until it's too late. When we hear about an elderly person who passes away suddenly, it always feels shocking because they seemed fine just a short while ago. Maybe they were laughing with family, taking a walk, or even doing their regular chores. Everyone says the same thing. They looked perfectly healthy. But the truth is, sudden deaths in the elderly are rarely as sudden as they seem. The body doesn't just shut down overnight without reason. Long before the final event, it begins to whisper warnings, small, almost invisible signs that something isn't right. These signals are often dismissed as ordinary signs of aging or temporary tiredness, but in reality, they are early cries for help. The body is an incredibly intelligent system that constantly communicates through sensations, changes, and subtle shifts in energy. When something goes wrong, it doesn't always present as pain or dramatic illness right away. Instead, it shows up quietly through patterns like fatigue, loss of appetite, restlessness, or changes in mood. Over time, these signals become stronger, but because they develop gradually, people adapt to them, accepting them as just getting older. This acceptance is what makes the danger so silent. Imagine someone in their 70s who's been slowing down gradually for years. They notice they can't walk as fast as before, they tire easily after meals, or they don't feel hungry as often. Because there's no major pain or visible illness, they continue with their routine, believing it's just part of aging. But what's really happening is that the body is running on lower energy reserves, struggling to maintain balance. The heart may be working harder to pump blood, the kidneys might be filtering less efficiently, or the nervous system could be under chronic stress. The body tries to compensate for as long as it can, quietly adjusting itself to survive. But one day, all those small imbalances reach a tipping point, and that's when the so-called sudden death happens. It's not that the decline began that day. It began months, sometimes years before, through small habits and ignored symptoms. The person might have been slightly dehydrated most days, sleeping poorly or under constant stress without realizing its toll. Each of these things alone might not seem serious, but together, they form a chain reaction that weakens every major system in the body. The heart, brain, and organs are resilient, but only up to a limit. Once that threshold is crossed, the failure appears abrupt, but in truth, it's been building quietly all along. Doctors often call this silent deterioration. It's the body's slow struggle against years of small neglect, missed hydration, skipped meals, restless nights, and emotional isolation. None of these are immediate threats, but collectively they rob the body of its ability to recover. The tragedy is that these signs are easy to spot if we pay attention, yet easy to overlook when life feels routine. That's why sudden deaths aren't really sudden. They're the final chapter of a story that began long before. Written in whispers the body hoped someone would hear. There are 6 powerful red flags that often appear in elderly individuals long before a sudden health crisis. But because they seem harmless or ordinary, they go unnoticed until it's too late. The first of these is constant fatigue that doesn't improve with rest. When an older person feels tired all the time, even after a full night's sleep, it's rarely just about age. It's a sign that the body's energy systems are struggling. The heart may not be pumping efficiently, the cells may not be getting enough oxygen, or the metabolism may be slowing down due to inflammation or nutrient deficiencies. Fatigue is the body's quiet way of saying it's running on empty, but because it's not painful, it's often dismissed as a normal part of growing older. The second red flag is loss of appetite or a sudden change in eating habits. When someone begins eating less or shows disinterest in food, it signals more than just changing taste buds. The digestive system is highly sensitive to stress, illness, and hormonal imbalance. A fading appetite can mean the body is conserving energy because it's too weak to process food properly. Over time, this leads to muscle loss, frailty, and weakened immunity, setting the stage for larger health problems. It becomes a dangerous cycle. Less food means less energy means less movement, and less movement leads to further decline. Then there's social withdrawal, another subtle but serious sign. Many elderly individuals begin losing interest in socializing, skipping family gatherings, or avoiding phone calls. People around them assume they're just tired or prefer solitude, but isolation is often a symptom of deeper physiological and emotional stress. When circulation to the brain weakens, or when hormone levels drop, the mind starts losing motivation. Loneliness and low mood then feed into physical illness, as chronic isolation raises stress hormones like cortisol and increases the risk of heart disease. It's not just emotional withdrawal, it's the body signaling distress through behavior. Poor sleep quality is another major red flag that quietly weakens the body. Many older adults wake up multiple times during the night, struggle to fall asleep, or feel tired even after resting. The body uses sleep to repair tissues, regulate blood pressure, and balance hormones. When this cycle is interrupted, inflammation rises, blood vessels stiffen, and the heart is put under continuous strain. What seems like a simple case of insomnia may actually be an early warning that the body's repair systems are failing. Dehydration, often overlooked, is equally dangerous. With age, the sense of thirst fades, and many seniors drink too little water without realizing it. Dehydration thickens the blood, stresses the kidneys, and can trigger confusion or dizziness. Over time, it damages the heart and increases the risk of stroke. Finally, chronic stress ties all these signs together. Even in retirement, stress doesn't disappear. It changes shape. Worry, loneliness, or fear of illness can keep stress hormones elevated, silently wearing down the body's resilience. Each of these 6 signs connects with the others, forming a quiet, deadly loop that builds over time until the body can no longer cope. The most common trait shared by elderly people who die suddenly is not a specific disease or condition, but a long period of quiet neglect that goes unnoticed. It's not that they stop caring about their health. It's that they adapt to feeling slightly unwell for so long that it becomes their new normal. They begin to ignore fatigue, brush off dizziness, and accept poor sleep as a natural part of aging. This gradual acceptance of discomfort hides the deeper problem. The body's systems are slowly failing, but the signs are subtle enough to blend into everyday life. Over time, this quiet neglect becomes a pattern, and that pattern leads to collapse. Most elderly people who die unexpectedly have been living with small, manageable issues that, if addressed earlier, could have prevented the outcome entirely. Imagine someone who wakes up feeling tired every morning but still goes through their day. They notice their appetite isn't the same, their water intake has dropped, or they've lost interest in social activities. These things happen one by one, not all at once, which is why they're easy to overlook. The person tells themselves, "It's just age catching up with me," and they continue as usual. The family notices small changes too, a little weight loss, slower walking, or forgetfulness, but they don't see it as dangerous. Life continues in this slow rhythm until one day, the body reaches a point where it can no longer compensate. And what looks like a sudden death is actually the result of years of subtle decline. This neglect isn't intentional. It comes from a mix of acceptance, denial, and lack of awareness. Older adults often pride themselves on being independent. They don't want to burden others, so they hide symptoms or downplay how they feel. They stop scheduling regular checkups because everything seems fine. They adapt their routines to accommodate their weakness instead of questioning why it's happening. For example, if climbing stairs feels harder, they just start avoiding stairs. If eating feels uncomfortable, they eat less. If sleep becomes restless, they watch TV late into the night. Each small adjustment helps them cope in the short term, but in the long term, it hides the body's warning signs. What makes this pattern dangerous is how quiet it is. There are no dramatic symptoms, no sudden pain, just a slow, steady decline in vitality. The body keeps adjusting, compensating for weak systems, until one day it can't anymore. A slight imbalance in blood pressure, a skipped meal, or a restless night can be enough to push it over the edge. By the time the collapse happens, it looks sudden, but it was years in the making. The tragedy is that most of these deaths could have been prevented if the early whispers had been heard. Neglect doesn't mean carelessness. It often means misunderstanding what the body is trying to say. Elderly people who die suddenly share this invisible commonality. They've ignored their body's quiet cries for too long, mistaking survival for stability until the body simply gives out. Small habits have an extraordinary ability to reverse the silent decline that leads to sudden health crises in older adults. The body, even in advanced age, has an incredible capacity to heal and adapt when it's given the right support. Simple daily choices can make the difference between gradual deterioration and renewed vitality. Hydration, proper sleep, light movement, balanced meals, and social connection may sound like ordinary things, but together they act like medicine for the body and mind. When elderly individuals start paying attention to these small actions, their energy returns, their mood stabilizes, and their body begins to function more efficiently. It doesn't require complex treatments or expensive routines, just awareness and consistency. Take hydration, for example. Many older people go hours without drinking water because they don't feel thirsty anymore. But water is what keeps the blood flowing smoothly, helps organs filter waste, and keeps the heart from overworking. A simple habit of drinking a glass of water every couple of hours can dramatically reduce the risk of dizziness, confusion, or even cardiac strain. Similarly, sleep plays a crucial role in keeping the body strong. Rest is when the body repairs damaged cells, restores hormonal balance, and strengthens the immune system. Creating a quiet, comfortable sleep environment and keeping a consistent bedtime can do more for heart health and mental clarity than most people realize. Movement is another powerful medicine. It doesn't have to mean running or intense exercise. Even a 10-minute walk, stretching, or light gardening increases blood flow, maintains muscle mass, and improves balance. When the body moves, it tells the heart, lungs, and brain to stay active. The result is better oxygenation, improved metabolism, and a stronger sense of well-being. Those who keep moving, even gently, stay independent longer and experience fewer sudden health collapses. The key is to keep the body in motion in any way possible because stillness speeds up decline. Balanced meals also play a major role. As people age, their appetite may decrease, but their nutritional needs stay the same. Protein, fiber, and hydration become even more important. Small, nutrient-dense meals throughout the day can help maintain energy and prevent the weakness that often leads to falls or fainting. Even simple foods like oatmeal, eggs, vegetables, or soups provide the fuel the body needs to stay resilient. Then there's social connection, the invisible yet vital part of longevity. When people engage with others, laugh, share stories, or simply feel heard, their body produces hormones that lower stress and improve heart health. Social interaction keeps the brain sharp and emotions stable, both of which directly affect physical health. A phone call, a walk with a friend, or a shared meal can have a greater impact on longevity than most realize. These small daily habits don't just maintain life. They restore balance, strengthen the body's defenses, and stop decline in its tracks. Each habit builds upon the other, creating a foundation of strength that prevents the slow fall toward sudden health crises. Awareness is the most powerful form of prevention when it comes to sudden health decline in the elderly. The body never stops communicating, but the problem is that most people stop listening. With age, the signs of imbalance become quieter, more gradual, and easier to dismiss. Awareness means paying attention to the small, everyday details that most people overlook. The way energy feels in the morning, how often thirst arises, how well sleep restores the body, or how mood shifts from one day to the next. These small clues tell us everything about how the body is functioning. When we ignore them, small issues grow into chronic problems. When we pay attention, we can intervene early and avoid catastrophe. Awareness doesn't require medical training. It requires curiosity and care. Simply noticing when something feels off, when a routine changes, or when energy levels dip can give valuable insight into the body's internal state long before a medical emergency happens. Being aware means treating tiredness, dizziness, poor appetite, or changes in behavior as information, not inconveniences. When someone says they're sleeping less or not hungry, it's easy to respond with reassurance or assume it's normal aging. But awareness shifts that reaction from acceptance to inquiry. It prompts questions like, "Why is this happening?" or "Has this been going on for long?" That simple act of curiosity can lead to discovering dehydration, nutrient imbalance, medication side effects, or stress, all of which can be fixed before they become dangerous. Awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. It reveals what's really happening instead of letting assumptions guide decisions. Families play a vital role in this process. Sometimes elderly individuals are so used to their routines that they can't recognize change in themselves. Loved ones often notice first the slower walk, the quieter tone, the skipped meals, or the shorter conversations. Awareness within a household can create a safety net that prevents decline from going unnoticed. Checking in regularly, sharing meals, or simply observing small changes in posture, energy, or appetite can reveal a lot about a person's health. These are moments when small actions like encouraging hydration or arranging a doctor's visit can prevent major consequences. True awareness is not about fear or constant monitoring. It's about respect for the body's signals. It's understanding that the body always speaks first through whispers before it cries out in distress. A heart doesn't fail without warning, nor does the mind suddenly become confused overnight. There are always signs, fatigue, mood changes, sleep disturbances, or loss of interest in life that quietly build up over time. When people become aware of these patterns and respond early, they can stop the progression toward sudden decline. Awareness gives people control over their health instead of leaving it to chance. It turns daily life into a form of prevention, where each small act of noticing becomes an opportunity to heal, restore balance, and extend life with strength and dignity.